Calling all Christian authors, we need you now more than ever. Welcome to Celebration State, where we help Christian creatives to grow in their creativity and in their love for God. So, we need you. If you are a Christian writer, especially if you are a Christian writer for kids, we need y'all so much. Don't stop this video. Listen to this video. We need you. I mean it so badly. And let me tell you why I know this and why I'm so passionate about how we need y'all so much. I am the mother of two brilliant homeschool children, and they are reading all the time. One of my children in particular is always in the world of books, it feels like. And these things that our children sit in, these worlds that they go into when they read, if they are not good worlds, it's not going to be good what it creates. And if we think about all of the time that it takes us to sit down and read a book, we are becoming absorbed in those worlds, in those words that authors are creating, authors like you. So maybe you're not an author, but you could get this video to a Christian author that needs to hear it. Let me tell you about why we need you so much right now. Your words have the power to make worlds in people's minds in general, but especially in children's lives. As their brains are growing, as their worldviews are developing, this is such a pivotal time for them. So what I'm going to do, and I hope that I will discuss more in this series, not just in this video, but in more videos to come, is I'm going to talk about two different books today. And one of them was written from a Christian perspective, and I really hope the other one was not trying to be Christian because, oh my goodness, wow, what a doozy. I want to talk about them and compare and contrast them so that we can learn and grow from them and see an example of something that's being done well compared to something that isn't. So the two books that I want to talk about are the Wingfeather saga and also Keeper of the Lost Cities. Now, I will be honest with you, I have not read all of Keeper of the Lost Cities. Maybe in future books, it gets awesome. When I read what I read in the first book, I thought, this is enough. I am done, and I never want my child to look at these books again. When we read Wingfeather as a family, let me tell you, we have read everything that we could get our hands on related to Wingfeather, except for there's one little story in their side stories that we haven't finished yet because we were going to read it together as a family and we just haven't sat down to do it yet. So I will tell you that I have this bias of preference because I really feel like Wingfeather, which was written by Andrew Peterson, I really feel like he does an amazing job of not just presenting the Christian worldview, but also writing well, writing in a way that engages your mind and your imagination and encourages children to be better writers as well. But I will say in my defense that I had very good reasons for not liking Keeper of the Lost Cities, and we're eager to take on more books as a family. We're eager to find new authors that we can trust our children's minds to. And so I wanted to like Keeper of the Lost Cities, but I just couldn't, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to try really hard not to give spoilers, but the basic story of the first Keeper of the Lost Cities book is that there's this girl, she's like a teenager, and she is insecure, and she feels like she doesn't belong. She's always wondered why she's felt a little bit different than everyone, or maybe a lot different. And so this boy comes along and tells her, hey, the reason why you're different is because you really are. You're actually magical. You're more magical than anyone around you. And you need to come with me and live this life away from everyone that you've ever known, your family and your friends. If we can suspend our disbelief and kind of look at this story as adults, no big deal, exciting beginning. But if you think about the struggles of a teenager with just those two facts, those are pivotal conflicts that teenagers experience. Number one, will you trust your family? And number two, can you be comfortable in your own skin? Even if people don't accept you or you don't maybe identify with people around you, can you be comfortable in your own skin where you're at? And Each of those two conflicts that the author introduces us to, which are very relatable to teenage girls, the author seems to pick whatever a girl's actual fantasy would be, which is don't try to work things out with your family. You can just leave them. And yeah, you feel uncomfortable in your own skin. That's because you're meant for something better. Leave your environment. Don't stand there and fight and try to do well where you are, but leave that. Run away with me, who's this boy telling her to run away with him. And that's a whole other thing, which introduces us to our third main conflict in a teenage girl's life, which is romance. Teenage girls have romance just built inside of them, and they're wrestling with that and trying to figure that out and trying to figure out about how not to obsess with boys. But in this story, again, the author seems to be encouraging girls to choose the improper path and to follow this boy and to leave everything else behind. Now, I don't know if you're like me, where I've had actually a lot of exposure to cults and things like that. And so these are huge red flags going off in my head. This is what cults do. And I'm sorry to let you know if you don't already know this, but I'm actually not sorry because you need to know this, is that cults will try and separate you from everyone that you know and love, everyone who cares about you, and say, no, come and follow me, follow this different way that you've never known before. And those other people that you had before, they were different than you. You don't belong with them. Leave them to the wayside. All of these things are huge red flags in my head. And as teenage girls are sitting in these worlds, sitting in these stories, what do you think that they're fantasizing would be true of themselves as well? That they were magical, that a cute boy whom they describe his physical appearance constantly and about how his shirts look cute, like that a cute boy would come and whisk her away to this magical world of being an elf. Are any of these things going to encourage teenage girls to meet the conflicts of their lives in a responsible way? No, they're not. Not to mention the character development of that story for the girl is real bad because it's one of those overpowered type stories where there is no character development, where, oh wow, turns out you're the chosen one and you don't have to train or try hard anyway. You're just automatically good at stuff that nobody else is good at. So everywhere I seemed to turn with this story that I was open to liking for my daughter's sake, everywhere I turned, it was like it was showing the wrong path for a girl to take and making that path seem right and seem exciting and enticing. And this is so bad. Let me tell you, let me contrast this with the Wingfeather saga and the things that I believe that this story is presenting to teenagers. I do believe that the Wingfeather saga does a good job of presenting a Christian worldview in a fantasy series. But so Wingfeather has a similar premise in that there are these young people, there are 3 children, who end up discovering something about themselves and things change and they end up going on a journey. So that's a similar inciting incident to this other story over here. However, the way that they go on the journey is completely different from the way that Keeper of the Lost Cities has their protagonist go on her journey. First of all, it's a family-centric story. So they go on the journey with their family. They're a secure, tight-knit family that has their problems, but they work through them and they love each other. There's no abandoning of family. There's also not an over-obsession of romance. There is some presence of romance in these young people's lives, but it's not the main point of the story. It's not driving anyone to make good decisions, because making good decisions has its own reward and it's presented as such in this story. So we see the characters staying together as a family. We see them working through hardships and going through real character development. And not only that, but the author is able to weave in that the presence of God is with them through the story, guiding them. The author has woven in so many amazing scriptural truths and metaphors within the story that's already there, so that there's such a richness. And the deeper that kids go in reading and understanding the stories, the more that they're going to grow. It's not going to be leading them down bad paths. It's going to be enriching their understanding and actually helping them to grow in a good way. So let me know down in the comments if you have a different opinion, and if you think that Keeper of the Lost Cities is one of the greatest works of fiction of our time. Let me know. I want to hear about it. Let's try to engage in a civil and loving way. But if you are a Christian author, we need you. And I know that your growth, that your gifting as an author might seem little right now. It might seem like you're just growing a little scrub, like a little sprout up from the ground. And that's all you have to offer the world. And you see that little sprout, that little green sprout in that black space of dirt. And you're thinking, how can that survive all of the weather that's going to come its way and just everything that the world is going to throw at it? But let me tell you something. If you will purpose to spend a little bit of time with that each day or each week, God will grow that thing and He will protect it from the world. And I'm not saying that means you're supposed to be a perfect, amazing author and you don't need any edits and you don't need any rewrites. But if you'll commit to going on that journey with the Lord, there could be a whole deluge, a whole flood coming at your little sprout, and He would still protect it and grow something beautiful. This world is filled with bad things and bad words that are growing horrible things in our children's minds and in people's minds, in full-grown adults' minds. We need your words in this world. So I hope that this video encourages you to write. And if you want to come on future creative adventures with us, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. Happy writing, y'all. Be so blessed.